Hi, this is Ashish R. Bidekar and welcome to my podcast, The ARB Show. I'm thrilled to introduce today's guest, Shirish. Shirish is a seasoned architect and urban studies expert with over 35 years' experience in mixed use architecture, IT parks, retail design. He has led high performing teams in prestigious organizations like Reliance Industries, Reliance Retail, SGS. One of his career highlights is that he was involved in the design and execution of the iconic Jio World Centre in Mumbai. As we discuss Shirish, in this show, the guest talks about the top 5 tips or trends in a specific domain of their expertise. Given your rich expertise in urban design and architecture, it would be great if you could briefly talk about your career and the top 5 design highlights of the Geo World Center. It would be really be helpful for the audience. Over to you, Shirish.
Hi Ashish, good evening. I'm so much honored and happy to join you and for your invite for this podcast. It's really a good source and a medium to express a professional's, thought process, what goes behind the work they do. And really it is one of the very great platforms to be in. And I wish all the best to you always and also look forward for more and more such discussions in future.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So, as Ashish rightly put, to highlight few or I would say important aspects of design, because of which the Geo World Center could come into practicality, a highly appreciated and a very, very functional project. I would call it as a product, Architecture or a building design is always a product which encompasses lot of elements like building materials, design, structural designs and manpower. So talking specifically about Geo World Center, the aspiration of we at Reliance was that it has to be standing out of the world and it has to be state of the art in the terminology of technology, execution, design and detailing and of course interior. So to start with, we had a very detailed discussions with the management to arrive at a brief, what we want, based on which we asked our architects uh, and other consultants to develop the design with these 5 points which I mentioned below. First and foremost, looking at the Indian context, how it would be feasible. So we adopted a motif which in Indian culture is very important, a woman's necklace, or in Marathi or in Hindi we call Mangal Sutra. It has a long beaded necklace with a brooch at the bottom. So, if you overall see in the social media, the platform of the Geo World Sector, it culminates. The brochure is actually the performance arts theater, which is state of the art. Nowadays, a lot of events are happening there. So that is the main brooch, and then there are strings of pearls which we related to the Mangal Sutra as convention arts and convention center. Then we have banquet halls. Then we have multi-purpose halls. We have mini theaters, a very high-end retail division, the clubhouse, and the high-end luxury residences. So this is a overall, I would call a mixed use of the project. We have about 5,500 car parks at one go in the 4 basements, which we have excavated about 45 meters from the ground. Then we have a dedicated residential parking on the 7th level. That is, if we call from road, if we approach about 85 meters, we have the parking. So we go up over a ramp, and then we park the vehicle. They are about 2,000 cars there. Very challenging project, extremely intricate with respect to the services, engineering, structural design, architecture, and detailing. The next point would be how to amalgamate these various disciplines and weave into an architectural design so that the intent of the architect or the approved concept is retained to the most. So here we required a lot of coordination, interaction amongst architects. We had to bridge a lot of gaps between the architects' thoughts and arrive at a product called Jio World Centre. Now, if we go with the detailing, so again the next point is detailing. If you see, the entire facade is cladded with granite stone. Now, a granite stone, we all must know that it's a very heavy material to clad on a wall. So we derived a technique that we shear the granite or the stone slab into millimeter thick surface and mount it on a secondary stone, and then clad it on a mild steel frame. We call it as a dry structure, and just clamp it on that so that there is no question of falling back or removal of the granite due to thermal conditions due to in the atmosphere, hot and cold and all. So that gave us a new, I would say, product design, which now people are adopting and saving a lot of money due to that. Because if you see, 20 millimeter thick granite stone, if I shear it to 5 millimeter, how many pieces I can take out? So saving of material, saving of cost, and ease of execution. Similarly, the third point would be the internal walls. What are the walls? Basically either a cement concrete block or a red brick masonry, which is conventional. But no, we thought that why increase the load due to this on the structural members, that is the slab, columns and beams. We must reduce so that we arrive at economic structural design. So what to do? The best material is to have dry walls, Now in layman's term, I will say that it's a gypsum board wall, double skin, mounted on structural framework, made out of galvanized iron sections and erected from floor to the ceiling. This gives flexibility also. Now suppose a user or at the later stage of the project, they don't want this wall to be there. They want a bigger space or reduce the space. You can easily unbolt them, remove the entire wall structure and assemble it at the different location. So there is no wastage of material. Secondly, of course, as I told you, lot of dead loads on the structure gets reduced, thereby giving us the liberty to reduce the cross-sectional sections of columns, beams, and ultimately the slab. Now the third point was, how about the services? Services, by services I mean electrical, plumbing, sanitation, water supply, drainage. And of course nowadays, which is mandatory, the rainwater harvesting. So again, it was an innovative idea to do that integrated services, wherein lot of electrical loads are reduced, unnecessary loads are reduced, water supply is at very easy to do, easy to pump throughout the entire building, and lot of water storage is also possible in case of emergency. We have large underground water storage tanks in the basements, underground basement, wherein we have reverse osmosis for purification of water, so so that it is portable, considering the health and safety measures which are mandatory now. We have 100% backup for entire project. That means even if the grid power goes, our lifts, elevators, services, firefighting equipment, air conditioning equipment is running on there without any break, thereby not disturbing the events or the functions of the which are going on in the project. Now, one more addition, or I would say important part, was a green rated building. I would say LEED, or nowadays in India it is BRIHA, or the Indian governing body of LEED certification. So we have achieved platinum rating here, which we had exercised and worked very hard to arrive at each and every material as per the requirements of the green rating of the buildings. Even the faucets, the water closets, the water dispensation, everything was controlled. All the illuminating lights or the light illumination design is out of LEDs, thereby reducing the heat load, the overall wattage and everything. Then the most important is the facade, the glass facade, which you see there. It is also a fire rated and BRIHA or LEED rated facade design, wherein the radiating loads are reduced to a maximum extent so that the heating and air conditioning systems are also not overloaded and they fall within the parameters of LEED norms. Heavy landscapes are done throughout, right from the basement level to ground and up to the terrace. Very, very well designed, manicured landscaping design we have achieved. All the garbage disposals are mechanical, they are pneumatically controlled, so all the dry and wet wastes are separated through chutes. There is no touch of human in disposing of the garbage. It goes through ducts pneumatically, gets treated, then the bales are formed, and then it is taken out in the trucks for final disposal. That is basically a fertilizer. What garbage we take it out is more or less like a fertilizer which is used for horticulture and everything. So is the case with wastewater. A very well, highly equipped wastewater system is there. Sewage treatment plants are there, which are the water is treated and recirculated for horticulture and other uses. Now, when we come to the interior design in Jio World Centre is one of the best and state of the art. I would suggest everyone to go there, have a look, attend some functions, events, so that you are able to see what I am talking about. Lot of cost control is also achieved. When I say cost control, use of expensive material does not give good interiors or effect or ambience to a project. A well-designed, detailed out interior with locally available, economically priced materials are equally good, which you will experience there. My role, and with pride I say that, the architects were recommending Italian marble and Greek marble throughout the floors, for which I just suggested to my architects and I gave a thought, why can't we go with large format vitrified ceramic tiles? The cost difference is, I think, 500% cheaper than the Italian marble. And the ease of execution is so good because most important, large quantities are available in absolutely minimal time. Transportation is always there from, it's manufactured in Gujarat, brought here, so made in India, that vocal for local is also achieved. And the design, detail, color, what you want, even the texture, we can custom made at factory and bring it here and lay down. No need of imports, no time and wastage. Cost saving is massive, and we got the same results, which you will see once you go to the retail section of the project. You will see the entire flooring is out of that large format tile with intricate engravings, intercasting and all those things, which even the American architects never believed that it can be done in India. So it's a great pride of us. Now, how is the vertical transportation, which is very important in these public buildings? So we thought, elevators, escalators are there. How to give a different customer experience? So we have a banquet hall, exquisitely designed on the third level, which is meant for these high-end marriages and conferences and large gatherings. So we designed one elevator, which is, I would say, the largest passenger elevator in the globe till now manufactured, which can house technically 200 people at one time. But the testing and inspections have been measured to take about 250 persons at a time. The area is about 525 square feet of that area, of the elevator. It's a massive one. It's a scenic elevator, full glass on all four sides. Very high-end Swarovski crystal luminaire was designed for it specifically. As we say, on a lighter note, Indian marriages are huge. So we said that even a body of a barat can be taken up through that elevator. So it is that big, and it is one of the features of the entire project and the country also. Now, the one important point, what is different in this? So I said that the largest elevator, the intricate detailing. But at the ground level, if you go there, the Trident side of the area, we call it Dhirubhai Ambani Plaza, wherein we have a very, very well designed thematic water fountain, which has got theme music, which has got theme lighting and illumination, and we have fire, air and water, one of the Pancha Mahabhuts of Indian philosophy. We have designed that, and it's open for public every day. There are various shows going on. People can you can sit around the plaza, around the fountain and enjoy the show. So again, it is one of a kind in India. At least it has not been done till now. Maybe it will happen sooner or later, but we have set a benchmark of architectural design in India, particularly the mixed use part. Yeah.
Got it. Excellent. So that was a very nice summary. But tell me a couple of things. So, for example, if you look at the Mumbai weather, right? So one is it rains heavily. I mean, during monsoons, we know that you have got high-speed winds as well. And because it is at BKC, so it's close to the sea, so there will be a lot of salinity. So how was this factored in the design as well?
Very good question. We had done, for wind studies, we had done the wind tunnel analysis, wherein the architectural building plan was modeled to its scale, and we did various studies, and then we incorporated certain wind attenuators also. So that gave us a plan form which is suiting to the high wind, what you mentioned, very rightly put, so that the wind loads are also reduced, thereby getting a economical structural detail. Now, as far as the salinity is concerned, we had a big challenge. We have sea on the one side, and the other side is the most polluted river called Meethi Nadi, which is highly contaminated with all sorts of chemicals and tannery water and all. So we devised special concrete and admixtures and some coatings on the reinforcement bars to reduce that impact. We also, when we excavated the soil for basement construction, there was lining of chemical and chemical treatments all around the thing, so that the water salinity is reduced and corrosion is reduced. For basements, since the water table is very high in BKC, we had subsoil water drainage system which pumps 24/7, 365 days water, recirculates, and dirty water is spilled out, and other water is treated for domestic uses. Also, for general uses, sanitary use and all, water, as I told you, water treatment plant is there to treat the water and reuse.
Got it. So another aspect. So when you talk of such iconic buildings, right? So you're not looking at like just like if you look at say Gateway of India, or if you look at India Gate, right? So you're looking at hundreds of years of life cycle. So compared to a normal public building, what are the kind of additional factors which go into designing of such iconic buildings, wherein you can say confidently for the next 200 years there's nothing going to be any problem, or you might require just very minimal repairs or refurbishing?
Yeah, so first and foremost are the fire rating factors. See, the building damage is due to corrosion, number one. Second is natural factors like floods and seismic forces, that is earthquakes. Third is the fire. In Mumbai particularly, we come into a high risk zone of earthquakes in the seismological factors. We come into grade 3 and 3.5, 4. So we have designed the building for seismic forces, earthquake resistant. We have designed the entire building, including every material, as 2-hour fire rated building. 2-hour fire rating means it can withstand, or the building will not collapse for 2 hours till the people inside the building get out. And 2 hours is a long time for fire extinguishers to come and douse the fire. Third is corrosion. As I told you earlier, corrosion treatments are done, and the highest precaution is taken to avoid iron and steel rusting. By that, we have coated with special chemicals, and also the fire-rated coatings are also there. Now, if you compare the old buildings, like you mentioned, few, Gateway of India and India Gate, or I would say the CST terminal also. These are made out of natural earth or earthen material, stones, red bricks, lime mortar. Nowadays, these are very rare to get. Quarrying is also restricted to some extent, so that we can't get good quality clay bricks now. Lime is again very restricted. The joinery on those old buildings were out of teak wood, which now we can't get also, or rather it is prohibited. So those buildings are from natural materials. Modern buildings are from man-made materials. Let us understand the difference here. Old buildings are forever because they are nature. New buildings are man-made because of man-made materials. So there is a life. I wouldn't say that our building will not last for 80, 85 or 200 years. It can, but it will require a lot of repairs or maintenance. However, when we design buildings, it is considered the lifespan as 70 to 75 years in the design terminology. Because there are a lot of variations now. Man-made materials are, rather, I would say, they have limitations of life cycle. Yes.
Got it. Got it. Another point which I want to check with you is when you talk of planning such iconic buildings, do you have some benchmarks or references on which you kind of plan or kind of get inspired with certain aspects? For example, want to say that if you look at the Sydney Opera House, right? Though it's an iconic building from the overall construction design, it took pretty long time, right? And over cost, budget overruns. But still, it's an iconic building from an aesthetic perspective. Similarly, you might have some reference points with some old Victorian style buildings or some old Indian, temples or Indian construction buildings, etc., etc. So was there any kind of thought of, of looking at what are the inspirational icons or inspirational benchmarks where you want to say, okay, we want to be, this should be in that kind of a group or a kind of a cohort that, okay, this is going to be ranked as, in this range. So was there any plans or any thought which went behind in that?
Very good question again. So as I told you in my introductory talk, that we got inspired with the Indian Mangal Sutra or the necklace. That was the motive. However, having said this, to be honest, there was no such, building per se. But the Indian motive one was the necklace, and the entire overall design motive was the lotus flower of India, which is our national flower. If you see, the entire logo and the branding of the Jio World Centre is on the basis of lotus flower. Its form, its petal shape, even the engraving on the flooring is out of that. So that was our one motive. Yes, as far as the performance arts theatre is concerned, we had inspiration of one of the iconic ones as Royal Albert Hall in London, and the other was the Dolby Theatre in US. But to be very honest, they are iconic buildings, but ours, this Performance Arts Center today, is one of the best in the globe, which is justified by many of the international events and maestros of music in the globe. We have there, yes, it's a one of a kind. It's not inspired by any international building, but his benchmark was there. But again, the motif was lotus. Even the color scheme of the theatre is that typical, red lotus with shapes and all this.
Got it. Another aspect when you look at life of a public building or any such building, as technology improves, there are new concepts, new technologies, etc., which at times need to be retrofitted on the building, right? To give an example, let's take old buildings, Victorian buildings like CST or so. When they were built, there were no electricity, right? So of course they didn't have it incorporated in the design, right? Similarly, maybe after 20 years, 30 years, right, there might be some new technology which requires some new modifications in such public buildings. So during the design itself, have you created some aspects wherein for any future unforeseen, because we really don't know what new requirement would be, so at least there is something which is captured or there is some allowance for such modifications as well?
Of course, yes. A building, a design has to be for future. Today we use, but it has to be designed 20 years future. So all the engineering elements are designed for futuristic modifications here. Even, as I said earlier, even if the internal arrangement has to be changed, it is all modular there in our project. Like the dry walls I told you, which can be easily removed, reorganized, and relocated, increase or decrease of the space. Similarly, lighting design is also modular here. You can, in a given module, you can just play around with the alterations position wise as well as the effect wise. Since they are all DALI controlled, the illumination I mean, you can change the illumination as you want as per the scene you require. So yes, all the systems are designed for future. Yes.
Got it. Excellent, excellent. Thanks, Shirish. This gives a great perspective. And thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in. To subscribe, share, and like this podcast. Bye for now. Talk to you soon.